Alright. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Mike with MCATQuestionOfTheDay.com, serving up daily MCAT questions to keep your mind sharp for the MCAT. I just thought we'd start today with tips for effective MCAT home studying. And in my experience, I get a lot of questions from students about how to best go about home studying. And usually my first piece of advice to them is always know yourself. As much as the MCAT is a test of science, facts, and formulas, it's very important to know that there's also a measure of students' ability to analyze and understand the test and maximize their scores. This starts with being able to evaluate your abilities and performance objectively. So to start, I always tell students to seek out one of those free MCAT practice tests that you can find online. You know, major test prep companies will host tons of these throughout the year, and you can check out any of these big name prep companies, Kaplan, TPR, whoever. And, you know, it's totally okay to test this cold. Remember, the goal is to establish a reliable baseline. So it's okay to just go into one of these tests cold and just go for it and see what you get. The second question I get a lot is, how long should I study for? And I love to work out, and I think of MCAT studying like an extended training session over weeks and weeks. While it doesn't make much sense to squeeze all of your studying in 2 weeks, it can be equally counterproductive to build your study plan around a 6+ month timeline. So I usually suggest around 3 to 4 months, reserving the last month purely for taking official practice tests. In my experience tutoring and teaching the MCAT for a few years, this sort of timeline gives students the best chance to succeed. And, you know, it limits burnout and frankly prevents you from forgetting topics you hit at the very beginning of your studying. So finally, my final tip is, how long per day should I study? Is X number of hours enough? You know, this brings me back full circle to knowing yourself. After taking a full-length test cold, you'll know exactly where your strengths and weaknesses are. And I never tell my students to stick to a fixed hour count when it comes to studying. The key is identifying your weakness, establishing a 3 to 4 month study plan, and then sticking to that plan. Depending on the topics that you're uniquely strong in, some days your studying might only take 30 minutes. On other days, if it's a topic you struggle with, it may take 4 or 5 hours. It really depends on the topic. And don't be a slave to the clock. As long as you stick to the plan you create at the beginning of your studies, it's okay to enjoy a light study day once in a while. This will keep you sane, and it's easier to stay disciplined and stick to your schedule because you aren't force-feeding study hours onto yourself. So my 4 tips actually are: know yourself, plan 3 to 4 months ahead, set a schedule, and then stick to that schedule. Okay, and that's it, guys. Today we talked about tips for effective MCAT home studying. Signing off, this is Mike from MCAT Question of the Day. Be sure to check back later this week or maybe next week, and I'll have another podcast up. We're going to be talking about how to study in medical school. So be sure to check that one out. Once again, I'm Mike from MCATQuestionOfTheDay.com, serving up daily MCAT questions. See you later.